Yeah, it's not good enough. The start's not good enough. We've given up too many points at home. We're all in there, understand that clearly. I think, it's got to get better. We just said home results. This has got to be the last points that we're dropping at home. We've got to be much cleaner and much better. So, am I concerned about it? Well, of course, because I think one of the things we have to really understand is as a team how we're going to win games. Without Joe, which is one of our big pieces in chance creation, and our winger on that side, like we've got to have a better vision collectively of how we're going to win. I felt like in the first half, when we broke that initial pressure, when we got to the attacking half of the field, we were just so fast to try to go score and try to go finish an attack, and we felt like we never really established our control of the game in the first half on the ball in the attacking half of the field. I feel like, again, but we spend a lot of time working on that and how to break down a team when we put them in a low block and to be more possession oriented and to swing balls from side to side and finish attacks. And it's like we don't give ourselves a chance to breathe. We get to the attacking half, and we're just so pulled by the goal that we've got to go score it right then and in that moment, and we turn over the ball, and then we go back into the defending moment, and then we try it again, and we turn over the ball. And so, again, I think we talked about in there, collectively, we need to be very clear when we step on the field about the decisions we make and who we are to win games. And I don't think we are, especially without Joe, I don't think we are defend for stretches and play on the counter. That's not going to be who we are. If we have Joe, maybe we have a little bit of a different setup and situation. But that's why we need to be clean with the ball, and we need to make good decisions, and we need to create motion in our attacks and movement. And it's better at the end of the game. But why is it at the end of the game? Why isn't that who we are at the beginning of the game? And that's what we've got to get right. And I think it's for me. I thought trying to set up the team. I didn't love how I set up the team in terms of trying to fill the left side up and our width and all that kind of stuff. I didn't love that. I felt like we finally got into a better scenario in the later part of the game. We tried to use Joe inside and outside, just trying to create a better ability to play forward and build forward and get some guys into good pockets and spaces so they couldn't just keep step out pressing us and forcing us back. So I think we got to a better structure at the end, but I still felt like we broke pressure enough in the first part of the game that we didn't need to race to goal, that we needed to get across, bring the other side into the game, force them to defend in stretches. When teams are on the road in this league and you can force them to defend and to work hard, they'll fade over the course of the game, and then you can start to find bigger gaps and bigger pockets and finish attacks and get first attacks, second attacks, third attacks. And when you attack fast, it's one attack at a time, and then the ball comes back into your half the field. And that's how we were for too much of the game. And so, again, I go back to it. We just have to be clear as a group on how it is we feel like we're going to go about getting results and how we're going to perform, especially at home and defend. And when you're on the road, it might be a little bit different because it's not so easy. But in terms of the conditions and things like that, it's never easy. But at home, we've got to be clear about how we're getting results, and that's part of why I feel like we're losing results, or we're giving up simple goals again. Like it's a one ball over the back line, and it's just too easy. And then the second goal, we've got more numbers than them in between the ball and the goal, and he just kind of scoots around us and plays a ball where we have more numbers than them in the box, and it finds the back of the net. So again, it's just the concession of the goals while we're working to get ahead of the game. We've got to be able to play to zero here at home too. Like we've got to be stingier in that regard. But I do think we end up putting ourselves in some of these situations because of the way we rush attacks, and we are impatient on the attacking half the field, and then we create transitions that over the course of the game, they become expensive as a team. And then you're a little bit more tired each time you have to defend. And so again, the collective identity of how we're going to win games just needs to be clearer across the board for everybody out there. I can take it.
And just one more about the setup. You had Sanabria on that left side a little bit higher. Why did he get to start there? Maybe not Tommy. Yeah. I know you brought Tommy in the second half there. What were you thinking there with Sanabria getting to start there?
Yeah, it was a little bit of it was going to be an inverted position as we saw. We were trying to give a little more freedom to our fullbacks to start low and build into the attack, overload in the midfield using him. Probably suits Eric a little better. I'm thinking about a lot of things coming up here in the next few days and who I'm going to play where and what role they're going to play. And so, yeah, in the end, you saw just more mobility and more comfort in the role than with Eric than what Lucas was able to. But when we're using Marco in the 10 and Elijah and Eddie in the pivot, there's looking at the possibility of being able to overload the midfield with Lucas and what that can be, and so we wanted to see it. Yeah, and it's part of the setup that I didn't love. It's not Lucas's fault. It's just part of the setup I didn't love.
Great, thanks for talking to us. You also had Cuevas on one side, you had Aude on the other side. I mean, as it goes, a more offensive sort of back line trying to get forward. Were you trying to get more out of the back line because of how maybe unbalanced that was in the midfield?
Yeah, I was given more green light to Julian, who in the past has been sitting a little lower. Part of that was, again, playing against a back five and holding Elijah at times a little closer to home so that we could, again, try to overload the back line, using Marco a little higher, Lucas coming inside, things like that. We were trying to get numbers ahead of the ball and be able to have width and be able to have enough of an overload in the middle. So, again, we looked at if we build in a 3, then they're going to step straight out to us 3 for 3 because they had 3 at the top, and so we were looking at the building with the 4. So again, all part of the setup that I didn't love and was working sort of through trying to keep Gabe wide. Then it was going to be who was wide on the left, and then we went with Harbor late, and I felt like we started to pin them back a little bit more and create more pockets for us to work. So again, that I put on me. So,
and then you talked about how you guys win games. Where does that have to come from? Obviously, you've set up a team in a way that you think they can go out and play and win. You probably train that way and you do all those things. The fact that they don't know that or that they haven't figured that part out yet this far into the season with the amount of games that you guys have played, does that concern you?
I think it comes down to yes, but yes and no. Yes, because it comes down to decision making on the field too, right? Like, being pulled forward by the goal and thinking we have to attack the goal in 3 or 4 passes is a process of decision making, and guys recognizing to slow it down, bring us forward. I think some of our personnel really want to go score goals, and so they are attracted to the goal. They want to go fast, and they want to take those opportunities when they see them. And some of those opportunities are really low percentage chances that we take high risk and in terms of turning over the ball, and we end up turning over the ball. And so I think, again, just it's got to be a combination of accountability for decision making and making sure that guys are understanding it and getting guys to adhere to the ideas of what we're trying to do in terms of setting up and breaking down. I think they were also aware, as we felt like, and we didn't establish long enough possessions to force them to drop into that low block, but going into the game, there was a sense that they'll go into a lower block 5-4-1. So I think some of the internal motivation to go fast for the guys up front was to try to attack before they dropped into a low 5-4-1. So I think sometimes when you prep for a team who will sit deep on you, sometimes the adverse result or the inverse result is the guys try to go really fast before the opposition gets set. So again, that's where we need to be disciplined, and we need to set up, and we need to play the long game and not just play the short game, if you will, of trying to score on every single possession at the start of it.
Hey, Greg, that desire to attack very quickly, is there any residue from Ricky? In that when Ricky was here, you guys would attack very quickly at times and just
and successfully, to be fair,
and
right?
Successfully. But
it's a different group of players, and that's something we have to recognize, right? And so it's not the same. We're not going to win games exactly the same way we did before, and so again, especially without Joe, we're not as dynamic at the top and on both sides and going through it. So that's where I think we need to be able to control games a little bit longer and be a little more pragmatic about how we manage 90 minutes per se.
But is that in the head? Because Gabriel's one of the ones who is
certainly
doing that, and
Gabe wants to score and he wants to win the game. Those are the two things he wants, and he's perfectly happy being the guy who can score the goals and win the games, but he wants to, and so he's driven and pulled by the goal. It's the and I don't blame him for wanting to take that responsibility and score and win the game. But in the context of the game, it's making the right decisions, right? Not just him, but everybody. It's making the right decisions when it is to go fast. And Ricky was the one in the past, and I don't want to keep talking about Ricky because he was the one that changed the speed of the game, and so now it's different. But we're not the same team. We're not going to win in the same ways, and pragmatically as a group, we have to recognize that adjustment, and that's why I want us to be a better defending team, and so that we can manage games for longer stretches and not have to win 4-3 or 3-2 or these kinds of things. We need to be more solid defensively, and we need to put in a better shift on the defensive side and make sure that we stay solid on the defensive side, because games are going to be 1-0, 2-1, things like that. We're going to need to be mindful of that.
Third straight game that JT has started. Has he become a de facto number one?
I would say it's still a work in progress. Really busy season. I think they're two very different goalkeepers, and so I'm not committing at the moment. I felt like he brought more calm to the team in the early part of the season. So we'll see. We're in 7 games in 23 days again, and lots of travel and stuff like that. So we'll build through that.
Hey, Greg, thanks again for your time. You may disagree with this, but it seems like more like the beginning of 2025 and not the second half of the season. I'm wondering what happened to those lessons that we all talked about that you learned in the second half. Have those gone away, or they're just not? What's happening? What do you see?
Yeah, I think again, I think it's understanding how we're going to be successful and win games with a different group of. It's not an entirely different group of players, but with Joe not on the field, with different things. We have to be more clear about it. We have to be better about it, and we have to be all collectively committed to it. So I think it's a fair point in terms of the home results. Still early on in that, but I think it's a fair point in terms of the group needs to be clear about how we're going to get results, and that's something we fought through in the beginning of last year, and it needs to be clear now, right? And that's certainly a fair point.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for your time. The fans made themselves heard tonight. Obviously, no team or no coach wants to disappoint the fans, but they obviously are quite disappointed. And so we saw the team come over to where the fans were in Victoria Block post-match. What was that like? And perhaps do you have a message for the fans at the moment? Thank you.
Yeah, listen, we're all competitors. Every single player out there hates the results, hates to lose a game at home or lose any points at home. So we're on the same page. We understand that collectively we need to be better. And I don't think they said anything to anybody out there that we aren't very aware of. And I think it hurts when your fans say that to you, because you want to please the fans and you want to put on a good show and you want to win games and you want to send them home with a positive vibe and energy. So I think that's why we go down there, because we need to hear it and we need to accept it, and we need to show up and be better. And I think that's part of the relationship between us and them, is we've got to do our job, and they got to hopefully keep showing up and supporting us, and we've got to do better.
Thank you, Greg, for your time. For the first goal, it's a ball over the top that Mauricio gets beat, and the second goal for Minnesota is a giveaway. I mean, just how much does it hurt to kind of maybe see, I guess, a cheap goal maybe given out from a coach's point of view? Thank you.
Yeah, they're difficult.
Sorry?
No problem. The difficult goals to give up. Again, you play against a team that's stingy. They're playing 5 in the back, I don't think we're a team that's going to be scoring 3-4 goals every single game. So again, as I said before, when teams score goals, we have to make them earn the goals. They can't be simple goals. We don't track a run. There's no pressure on the ball. We've got to track our runs. We know these things. Instead, we start to track, and then we try to hold an offside line, and that's what I kind of saw in it. Have to watch back. Instead of just tracking the run and dealing with it. The second goal, again, where we lose the ball and how we lose the ball is so important to us. We put ourselves in a bad situation. We still had numbers, I felt like, and the right guys to deal with it, and we didn't. And then it makes it very difficult to get a result in a game, because, again, we at the moment we're fighting to get get goals, right? We had some good looks. It was even the goal we score, even though we were in a great position, it takes two attempts to score a goal, even though we're in a great position. Gabe had some good looks from what I would call more mid-range, not necessarily from as close as we like to be, and we're kind of in the keeper's wheelhouse with some of those things. So, but yeah, we can't give up soft goals. We've got to be cleaner about that. But I think some of the soft goals is a product of the way the game gets transitional from the start, and you start doing a lot of work to defend early on because of the way we attack so fast, and then we're defending in longer stretches, and then we attack so fast that over time guys start to get fatigued, and we make mistakes. But we want that to be the opposition, not to be us, right? And I think our failure to take care of the ball in the good ways is putting more physical challenges on us, or more transitional defending challenges on ourselves.
Last question for Greg. Hey, Greg. The modern game is so demanding, and we're seeing that more and more season after season. We see it affect players mentally, physically. I just wondered, with some of the players in the team who maybe haven't played multiple competitions in a season, how they're dealing with that. And then also for you as a manager, you've done it now for multiple seasons, but it's still just not easy, isn't it? Where you're thinking, okay, Tuesday you've got to travel, then you've got to come. It's one onslaught after another. Does that take away from the football?
Look, I like to think we can all compartmentalize and focus on one thing at a time. That's what we talk about. That's how we try to pursue things. We had a longer break because of the international break, so we did cover more things in the course of these 2 weeks that looked a little bit bigger picture than just this one game. Maybe that's something that we should consider because we do play some very important games that are going to be very different than the game tonight and coming up pretty quickly on Wednesday and after that. So. But yeah, I look, it's demanding. It's physically demanding. The travel is no joke. All those things are true. They're true for everybody who's in the competition, not just for us, but they're true for everybody in the competition. They challenge your roster and all levels of it. You want to be as healthy as possible. But at the end of the day, you got to step out and be competitors and compete and put your best foot forward. Whoever gets called upon and as well as in terms of my preparation of the group and all that. We all have to step out and be there. If you want to be at a club like the Galaxy, then you should expect to be in multiple competitions and be ready to deal with it. And so from that regard, we have to accept what it is and be better and be more competitive in each of these competitions and games.